Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of the Graveyard Media Podcast for the week of December 18th, 2017. I'm Saine. With me is Dalsson
Hello,
on that
that's
side,
me.
and Thel.
Good afternoon.
He sure is.
He sure is. All right. So, we're going to start off with the games and movies we've seen and played and experienced and whatever this week, and then we're probably going to talk about like one thing in news related because there's like nothing to talk about this week.
It's like no
nothing
news.
happened. Nothing happened. Well, one thing did happen that was kind of big, but we talked about it a little bit last week. Guess we're just gonna talk about it more.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but we'll get to that.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to it.
I'm wearing a robe because it's cold outside.
I'm
I'm wearing a
sweater for
t-shirt
the
because
same
it's cold
reason.
inside.
Oh, yeah, alright, yeah.
Alrighty. So,
It's
who wants to
cold
start this
outside.
week?
I think Thel should do it.
I don't even remember what I've done this week.
Okay, actually, I got some stuff. I got some stuff I can share. And it really sucks because, here's the thing. I went to see a movie this week, and it's unfortunate that I can't remember all the stuff I was going to say about it because it's been one of those weeks. Oh boy, lots of shit's been going on. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
just
hear
them
you.
holidays. They're going crazy. Everyone's going
Happy
crazy out here.
holidays.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those times. So I forgot all I was going to say in detail about it. But I did see a movie this week. The movie was 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. I've talked about it a couple times on the podcast. I've mentioned it. It is a what was it? McDonagh, that's his name. It's a McDonagh thread if you're familiar with In Bruges or Seven Psychopaths. Same guy. Great director. I've been a huge fan of his.
Totally different theme.
Yeah, a little totally different theme, but not a totally different tone. Because
At the same tone as Seven Psychopaths.
same tone as Seven Psychopaths was legitimately hilarious. I love it. So was In Bruges. So 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, in the hands of probably anyone else. And what I thought it was going to be for the first, 10 minutes of the movie was
It'd be really
some-
difficult to hold 3 billboards in your hand.
No. She just pays for the billboards.
Oh,
What I thought the movie was going to be was the strong, brave woman who's pissed the fuck off that her kid is dead, fights against the very beloved police force in the small rural.
That's not the same feeling
What?
I got from that trailer.
Yeah. It fights the small police force from the small town of people who love the police. And the police are always evil, and all the townspeople are racist, but this woman persists because of the help of her friends. And here's the thing. Me and Saine have had horribly long conversations about Jessica Jones that we've unfortunately subjected Dalsson to.
We have strong opinions about
We
Jessica
both
Jones.
have strong opinions.
I'm very glad though that Jessica Jones exists because ever since Jessica Jones came out,
We haven't talked about
We
Spider-Man.
haven't talked
which we
about
have had
Spider-Man.
even
No,
longer conversations.
That's not fair. The reason we stopped arguing about Spider-Man was because Spider-Man Homecoming came out.
Yeah, fair enough.
okay.
And
Which I think Thel and I both agreed was okay.
Yeah, pretty much exactly. We were both like, yeah, it's okay. It was pretty good. It's Spider-Man.
Fair enough.
The thing is, one of the things that I really noticed while watching this movie is it is kind of weird to me that I dislike Jessica Jones's character so much just because of the fact that Jessica Jones is kind of like a drunk, horrible person and constantly makes mistakes all the time, and I love that kind of character. But the thing is, and while I was watching this movie, and I realized Peter Dinklage had a specific scene about this. I really like it when this character is just treated like they're a horrible person by everyone around them. It's like one of the reasons I loved BoJack Horseman so much. this lady who puts up the 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, is not the super brave and strong lady. She's a goddamn crazy person who does goddamn crazy things, and that's how everyone looks at her.
See, you're
It's like,
saying this, but I got that from the trailer. So
yeah,
she
well,
seemed
yeah,
like
well,
a
yeah.
crazy person based on the trailer I watched. So
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. That is absolutely what this movie was, and it's like it was at the first like couple of minutes of the movie where she's talking about how she wants to set up like a surveillance system, and if anyone does anything wrong, they should just kill them on the spot. And the cop was like, "Yeah, there are a bunch of reasons you can't do that. There are a bunch of Humans Rights Act that keep you from doing." I was like, "Am I supposed to be rooting for the lady? Because that sounds like it's fucking insane." And then eventually, as the movie goes on, and like even all of her friends are like, "You know, you're kind of a fucking bitch, to be honest." It was great. I love watching this movie. I love watching the downturn the main character had. And the constant tone of this movie. Some of the lines that are like the best lines I can't say out loud because they're they got words I ain't saying on this stream. Um but one of the specific moments that I feel like really defined the tone was this moment where like at some point you're basically questioning whether or not this lady's husband beat her. And then there was a point in time where the lady like talks some mad shit. The man like pushes her against the wall, and then the lady's son like puts a knife to his throat. And then in the background, the guy's girlfriend comes in. It's like, "Hey, I had to use the bathroom. Is this a bad time? This is a bad time. I'll come back later. It's down the hall. I don't really need. Just go piss." Okay. And it was hilarious. This incredibly tense, horrible moment was just broken up by this fucking beautiful humor, and that's the whole thing.
Just like in Wolfenstein.
The difference is in Wolfenstein, it wasn't a sudden break that made it funny and work. It was this like long like one of the things while I was editing the Wolfenstein video is that I noticed it was paced perfectly for the applause and the laugh track. And that was horrible. This joke just hits you in the face. It like the scene was surprisingly jumped to dark and then it jumped immediately to funny, which you know what they say about humor, it's about what's unexpected that really gets you. And goddamn does this movie get you all the goddamn time. All of the lines, of course, are hilarious. All of Martin Donna's lines in his movies are great. This is how he makes his movies. He makes funny movies that have incredibly fucked up plots.
Is it gonna knock
it to someone?
Is it gonna knock down any of your favorite movies here?
Yeah, it got right behind Wind River right there. My favorite movies go Blade Runner, Wind River, 3 Billboards. It was fucking great.
What was third before?
Shit, I think it was Logan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very very good movie. Lady is crazy. Literally, the only cop that is the only character that is free of sin is one of the cops. And that's sort of weird in a movie like this. This ain't an Oscar bait movie. It's not exactly a feel good movie. And there is actually specifically a cop who is this horrible racist asshole, or at least he starts out and then has like this really really great character arc. Who like lives with his mom and is just really frustrated about everything constantly. And the mom is played by Mac's mom from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I love that woman. Yeah, I want to see that woman in more stuff. I'm happy she got a pretty darn big role in this movie. But yeah. Good. The more you think about it, there are like a bunch of like little characters who get a lot of screen time. Peter Dinklage, you got Sam Rockwell, who is I love Sam Rockwell. He plays the racist cop and like eventually becomes one of the main characters of the movie. Lady's son, who does just a great job. Like I said, the lady's ex-husband's girlfriend is this dopey idiot who constantly misreads the horrible situations. And it has this constant upbeat, dumb attitude, and it's adorable and hilarious. And all the characters in this movie are great. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Go see 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and I got the best possible.
That's a long way to travel.
Yeah, it is. But you know, it's worth it. It's worth it. And I completely forgot what the name of the like it was one of those southern towns like Mississippi or
No
something.
wonder
But,
you've been missing for all week.
yeah.
Now
I
I
mean,
get it.
Yeah, you gotta take a big old road trip out to a small town in Missouri. Go look at these 3 billboards and go, this is art, and then drive home and put it as your top 3 movies of the year.
Yeah,
It's not about
that
the
sounds like Oscar
destination.
bait. I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
about the
alright, yeah.
journey.
It's about the journey that you took to get to Missouri. It's about the plane right there.
Hey, fucking, the movie's about these people taking a road trip down to see a couple of billboards, and it's like, vote for Senator lady.
Why didn't they take the Eagles?
And fuck. Yeah, no, it's like you go down, you watch Logan on the plane. So yeah, it technically counts as your 3rd favorite movie.
The whole movie is just a cam rip of Logan as seen on an airplane.
Yeah, there it is. It's just a man recording Logan on like his cell phone camera from the Plain TV movie.
12 Oscars! Woo!
12 Oscars. But yeah, 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri was a very good movie. I'm excited to see more from this director. Go watch it. Good. Best theater going experience I've had in a long time. For some reason, in my local sort of small theater, it was playing in the biggest THX theater they had.
Oh, good.
I saw it at like 10 o'clock at night, and there was like one other group of people there.
Oh, so that's why it was such a good experience.
Yeah. It might have been better in like a bigger theater with a lot of people constantly laughing at all of the fucking great writing, but I can't complain. I ain't gonna bitch about that. It was great. It was a great movie, great experience, great all around. I loved it. Loved it. You should, everyone should see it. So yeah, I've also played. So not. I'm gonna. It's one of those movies I'm probably gonna hold you down and force you to watch. I played some video games.
Boo, video games.
Boo, holding him down to watch a movie.
I know.
Hey, I held him down to watch Nice Guys, and you loved that.
Boo! No, Nice Guys was great.
Every movie I held you down and forced you to watch, you've loved, except for Blade Runner. But you know.
Boo!
You didn't like Blade Runner?
It was okay. It was boring.
Boo!
Alright. So, fair enough. I played some video games. I think maybe it was either last week or 2 weeks ago or something. I talked about how like I'd played a little bit of Divinity 1, right? And like I didn't feel like I'd played through enough of it to really like have an opinion and really sort of share my thoughts. But I did play a game where I played a very little bit of it, but I feel like I'm played enough that I can like share some of my thoughts.
Divinity 2.
Not Divinity 2.
Not yet.
We'll talk about that in a minute. What I was actually talking about was I played a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, and I know I'm super late to the hype train, but that was a really great cold open. That was some good shit.
Oh my god, the
beginning of the game was
totally
fucking
what
great.
sold me on it.
What's funny is that is simultaneously one of the most loved parts of that game and the most hated parts of that game.
Really?
Because people don't like that whole opening takes like minutes or something.
I could see trying to play it over again would be really hard, but like for the first experience with the game,
I liked it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. For those of you who don't know what Metal Gear Solid is, it's a third-person action stealth game.
Yeah.
That's
this
probably
one's in a big open world. Yeah, that's the best descriptor. And it's weird that people would complain about this because I'm sure that you guys remember back when Metal Gear Solid 3 came out, that was everyone's biggest chief complaint. Oh, it's just like cutscenes the video game.
No, you're talking about Metal Gear Solid 4 though. Because Metal Gear Solid 4 was cutscenes the video game.
Well,
I loved it, but it was.
Yeah.
People did talk about Metal Gear Solid 3 like that, but it was
But
not.
Metal Gear Solid 4 went even further with it, yeah.
It wasn't really like I didn't feel it was really like that.
I don't
it had
think
a
it
lot
was
of
at
long
all, hardly.
cutscenes.
Yeah, and there was a lot of like
There was, like-
really really fun gameplay.
See,
in it.
I've played
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
I don't
Metal
think
Gear
3
Solid
was
2
particularly-
actually probably had more cutscenes than 3. So,
Yeah. One of
Yeah.
the I actually surprised these guys earlier this week when I talked to them about it. I've never actually really played a Metal Gear Solid game. I played Metal Gear, the one on the NES. And I played the NES version of it too, so it was like the worst version possible. The localized version. And I watched a friend play most of Metal Gear Solid. I got to the point where he kills Otacon's girlfriend. Spoilers. For a game that
no,
came
that's
out
Metal Gear
200
Solid 2.
Is it?
Fuck.
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
because Otacon doesn't have a girlfriend in 1.
Oh, well, the girl that Otacon liked. Was
No.
it Otacon who liked that girl, the sniper girl?
No. Sniper
No,
Wolf?
It might have been, yeah.
No.
I remember
Wolf.
I remember that someone really liked Sniper Wolf, and that it was like really really sad when she died.
I thought Sniper Wolf was some bitch who showed
But-
up out of nowhere and started shooting you.
Yeah, that was
Well, yeah, she was, and then like I could have swore it was Otacon who like had this like tragic backstory having to do.
No,
with her.
his tragic backstory was shown in 2. In the first game, you found him stuffed in a locker and he peed himself.
Yeah, and
That was Metal
and-
Gear Solid 1. That was about
Well, yeah, no, I
extent of
remember
it.
that. I remember like
Psycho
you know,
Mantis.
starting up, you know, he busts into Shadow Moses Island. He sneaks around, and I remember you gotta fucking like put yourself in a box to be able to get to like the get to Sniper Wolf. She has like fucking dogs that come after you and shit. Fucking I remember there being a tragic backstory in 1 for like Otacon, because I don't know anything about Metal Gear Solid 2, and I have like a
Metal Gear,
basic idea of
sorry.
what happens in Metal Gear Solid 3. But yeah, I don't know.
Otacon basically didn't have much of a story in the first one.
All right, and it might have been someone else that I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe
I-
someone told you about
Yeah.
plot
About his
points
story.
in Metal Gear Solid 2, and like you just associate. Maybe someone who's playing the first game
Yeah.
talking about the
But
second game, because I replayed a lot of Metal Gear Solid on stream once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the place that I stopped roundabout was after I killed Sniper Wolf.
Yeah, I think you got to the torture sequence and you lost, and then you hadn't saved for like 4 hours.
The torture
So you were like,
sequence?
okay, fuck
I
this.
thought the torture sequence was like really closer to the beginning of the game. I thought,
No, it's about halfway through.
No, yeah, it's definitely after Sniper Wolf because I remember seeing you fight her.
really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like ordering up the game wrong. Yeah, maybe it was like a different character, because no,
No, yeah,
no.
torture sequence is way late. He fought
Oh.
Psycho Mantis, he fought Gray Fox, he fought Sniper Wolf. There were a lot of people he went
Revolver Ocelot.
through.
Yeah, I
fought
thought the
Ocelot.
torture sequence came right after Revolver Ocelot. For some reason, I thought, is that like not in the beginning of the game?
Maybe it does
Revolver
come
Ocelot?
after right after Revolver Ocelot, but I did
But,
fight. I did fight and beat Revolver Ocelot. So
Yeah, I remember Revolver Ocelot. I remember Revolver Ocelot. I remember Psycho Mantis. I do remember all of those guys, but like,
I don't
maybe it was,
remember.
like,
Are
their
you sure I
multi-
fought Psycho Mantis? Because he's really hard
I'm-
to beat if you don't fuck with the controllers.
I remember you fighting Psycho Mantis because you had to like do something weird with the emulation.
Okay, yeah, then I must have
Re-
fought Psycho
yeah.
Mantis.
Because you had to like go into the menus and switch which controller port your controller was
Yeah.
emulating or something. It was weird.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because if you don't, then Psycho Mantis reads your controller inputs and kills you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there he is.
That's fun, yeah.
And then he's super easy once you switch over. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was definitely the first game. In
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 2, there's Vamp. Vamp kills a character that like Otacon's sister or something in an oil rig place in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Because I don't.
It's not
I don't
Outer
remember
Heaven,
that
is
at
it?
all.
Not Outer Heaven.
Or supposed to be?
No, because the whole purpose of the oil rig is to emulate the experiences of Solid Snake, because you're playing as Raiden.
Right.
It's kind of, I don't know, like, if you want to talk about Force Awakens being a beat-for-beat remake of the original Star Wars, then Metal Gear Solid 2 is, like, actually a beat-for-beat remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, so...
Because it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it was intentionally designed to be, like, very similar to Metal Gear Solid. So...
But anyway, Metal Gear Solid 5...
Yeah, so how did you feel about Metal Gear Solid 5? After the cold opening, did you play much?
After doing the cold open, I played a little bit. Like, I was able to get like the first two bases and get to where the dude was captured. And that's basically when I stopped to go work on some stuff. You know, stealth is really, really fun in this game for obvious reasons. It's really nice that at first I thought, like, you know, peeking over things and just having, like, binoculars that automatically mark people. So, that's gonna be like fucking a little bit overpowered. Just mark all the enemies in the stealth game. Now you fuck up and don't mark one, you better watch out.
Yeah.
You mark them all and still get caught sometimes because you're just in a weird positioning and you have nowhere to go. Like, that happens a lot too in that game.
Yep. Fuck, my silencer broke.
Did you get to
Shit.
Did you get to Quiet?
No.
Quiet's pretty late in the game. Or she's not late in the game, but she's like at least a third of the way into the game, so
I'm not done with the first mission.
Did you get Diamond Dog?
No,
I'm not done with the first mission.
He's not even far enough to
get anything.
You get Diamond Dog after the second or third mission.
Okay.
And then you don't get Diamond Dog as a, like, companion until it does the flash forward.
Yeah. Right, yeah, because it's a puppy. That's right.
Yeah. Do you have D-Horse? You have D-Horse, though, right?
Yeah, D-Horse you start with D-Horse. Oh, yeah.
D-Horse.
Yeah, to put it into perspective, you have D-Horse and you get D-Horse to, like, level 5 or 6, and that's about the time that you would get Diamond Dog, and then you almost max out Diamond Dog before you get Quiet. Like, that's how far those like...
Yeah, okay, I'm remembering now. I gotta say, after playing Metal Gear Solid 5, I think it was last year, though I love Fallout, I have to say, Diamond Dog is a better companion than Dogmeat.
Oh yeah, easily.
Okay.
The cool thing about Diamond Dog is he automatically marks people who are near you.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
Well, I remember when
but they're temporary marks.
shit.
Like you would have to mark them with your binoculars to keep them marked, but as long as they're near you, they stay marked.
Yeah,
so it makes it really easy to avoid people up close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Saint, one thing that you did mention when you were, like, selling me on this game, which, I mean, you really didn't need to. It's a game that I've wanted to play for a long time. I wanted to play all of the Metal Gear Solid games, just go back and do all of them for a long time, because it's one of those series like, I'm just gonna fucking love these games if I play them. You mentioned how it looks beautiful. It looks goddamn gorgeous, and it runs like a dream.
Yeah,
it does. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, even on your old ass computer.
Yeah, even with my
it ran
GTX 660.
Yeah, it ran beautifully back when I had a 660. Unfortunately, it's FPS locked at 60.
Yeah.
So it's capped at 60. So if you get a better computer like my computer, doesn't really run it that much better than any other ones, any other computer.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at least it's I don't know. It's better than being locked at 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
60 is like a better standard to lock something at than 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that game is great looking.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it runs super smoothly. And the controls are so tight. Like it has some of the tightest controls in a like third person game ever.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but it's really weird. Because yeah, like I was feeling that, and I feel like part of the reason for that is just that like they added like this really, really wide bullet spread to one of my guns, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, if I just fucking aimed at this guy's face, he'd just be it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair to the poor NPCs.
Well, there are different weapons that have different spreads, so
Oh, well.
You can also build your own.
In fact, later on, you can research weapons that are, like, rubber bullet weapons, so that you knock people out with the guns instead of kill them, and then you can, like, kidnap them and turn them into, workers on your base.
Yeah.
So, like, you build your army by kidnapping enemies.
I love it. I love
and
that.
And that, of course, would be, there's a bunch of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet, just because of the fact that I just haven't played that much in this game. And the amount of freedom that you can apparently do is fucking great.
That game,
like, freedom you can do.
That game's really good about, like, slowly, incrementally increasing the number of things you do. So you never hit a place where it, like, opens up so wide you don't know what you can do because they add so much stuff all at once. It's like they add, okay, now you can do this thing, and now you can do this thing, and now you can do this thing, and you slowly build up to being able to do a bunch of random crazy stuff.
Right.
I think that that's fantastic. And yeah, even with my, like, limited ability to do a bunch of things, the things that I can do are still a lot of fun. Like, the stealth is, of course, it's a Metal Gear Solid game. The stealth is great.
Of course.
It just works.
It just works. For real this time.
For real this time, trademark. Hey, Todd, take note. These Japanese guys is making you look like an idiot. You're writing into your games. You let Pete Hines write everything.
Just Kojima, really.
I feel like every like Metal Gear Solid game, like, iterated on their formula of how to make a stealth game each time. So, like, the difference between 1 and 5, there is a straight line between those games, but they're, like, vastly different, even though they're built on kind of the same foundations.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's great. That is super great.
It's too bad.
I also like, what I like is that if you just really fuck up your stealth and you're like, this is way too hard, I can't do it.
You can put on the chicken hat.
You can pull out your rocket launcher.
Fucking bitch.
Hey, P-Quad! Give me a fucking tank! And then he does.
Or, hey, P-Quad, come shoot missiles at everybody in this town
for me. Come kill everyone for me.
Come carpet bomb this town for me. You think we're joking, but we're not.
No, that is definitely something you can do, and it's fantastic.
And that's one of the things. I feel like that is a good sign of game design, because, like, that's one of the things I never heard of. And usually in games it's one of those, you know, the big game theory, not having anything to do with MadPat. I'm not talking about him. The big sort of game theory ideas is that if you give the players something that just makes everything, like, the best weapon in the game, they will only ever use that. And I haven't heard anyone do that.
Well, because this game does a good job of balancing the stronger things hurt your mission score. So if you want to get a high mission score, you don't want to have your helicopter come in playing Take On Me while it drops bombs on everyone.
It also incentivizes you to, like, capture people. Like, you don't know until you've scanned everybody who the strong people are, and sometimes, like, there's a really strong soldier that you could easily just kill, but he's also guarded by a bunch of nobodies that you want to kill. But if you kill him, then you're gonna have to kill the strong soldier too.
Yeah.
So it can get messy.
Yeah, then you have to start deciding, okay, am I going to, like, be caught because I'm going out of my way to capture this person, or am I going to just knock everyone out in the entire town so that you can take one dude?
Yeah.
I've done that before. Like,
yeah. I didn't go totally non-lethal, but, like, I would like pull out my shitty silenced weapon all the time to kill people around a guy, and then I'm like, oh god, now this guy's wandering here. Like, same thing. Just get rid of everybody for one dude.
I was doing a non-lethal run, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that had more to do with me wanting to have more opportunities to take people, and less that I wanted to get a no-kill playthrough.
Right.
But, But I mean, even still, like because I was doing that, I tried to avoid killing anyone just because it's like, well, if I'm gonna do it this anyway, I might as well like do it the whole way, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like later on, you can put a bunch of research, and I was using a rubber bullet submachine gun. It has less range and is less accurate, but you can just pump a bunch of bullets into a person that'll just knock them out and then take that person. So, and and the game is like kind of simulationist too in different ways. Like, if you hurt a character too much, their chances of survival being Fulton will go down.
Oh, like, yeah.
You can do things
like CQC takedowns are the best to just like knock them out real quick and take them.
Yeah, but if you like actually, well, no, the rubber bullets are fine, but if you shoot them with a normal gun once or something and then knock them down, they still might have a lower chance of survival, and depending on what you want to do. Actually, I might have lost my no-kill playthrough because I Fultoned someone who died, but that's whatever.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, something you can do is, there's a guy who's sitting in a truck, and instead of Fultoning him, you can Fulton the truck.
Yeah.
And then it'll take him with him. It'll take him with the truck. So,
yeah.
So you can kind of get around that in sort of gamey ways too. The game is just so great. I've been meaning to go back to it because I never finished it, but
yeah,
the game's long actually. I don't know if it's like filler long. A lot of it's just like, here, do a random mission, but I think that's okay for the way it's set up. I heard the ending was very bad though. It has a really poor ending, but I don't really know because I haven't finished. Well, I heard it was basically unfinished.
Every other. Oh yeah. I think that makes sense. Kojima probably just.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened with the ending, but I heard the ending was basically unfinished. And they're not going to finish it, but they are releasing Metal Gear Survive, which seems kind of cool.
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, that game engine was so fun. I could see myself wanting to run around and play like a less Metal Gear-y Metal Gear. Crafting. Well, I don't know. It's kind of like in Outer Heaven, but you also have to manage people's food and stuff. Is what it seems like. So you're kind of building up your own base in like Zombieland or whatever.
I refuse to touch it because they kicked out Kojima.
I might pick it up anyway. I don't know. I haven't decided. Like, as if Kojima's not doing really well for himself right now.
Yeah.
So, if anything, Konami firing Kojima was a godsend to Kojima. So,
yeah.
It would have been better if they gave him the Metal Gear license, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll play it. I'll see how it is. Is there anything else you want to talk about in that game?
No, there's nothing else I really can talk about. So far,
you should put some more time into it. It's a really fun game.
Definitely.
I want to go back and put more time into it too.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm gonna be my plate's gonna be pretty full coming up though. I got 2 videos I want to get out before the end of the year, which I mean that's gonna be tough. I think I can do it.
Yeah, and we haven't even had any movement on a Gamer of the Year video, which I don't know. Maybe we should just talk about that on the podcast because I don't. At this point, it doesn't look like we're gonna make that video. So
yeah,
I think we have time, but we'll see.
Okay. Anything you played this week, Dalsson?
Yes, more Overlord. I beat it. And I'm going to say right now, if anybody cares about spoilers for this 12-year-old game, just stop listening. Because I finished Overlord. I did not finish the Raising Hell content. That's going to be what I'm going to be doing next, but that's just like bonus dungeons basically.
I think the game's still called Overlord Raising Hell though, right?
If you're playing it with the DLC installed, it's called Overlord Raising Hell.
I'm gonna leave that then.
Yeah, it worked. So in this game, what you take the place of you take the shoes. You play as an evil overlord who controls all these minions and whatnot. Now, it's great. It's fun. You go down to this little city, and halflings are like running amok in this township, and so you kill all the halflings, and eventually there's this big fat halfling named Melvin who you have to kill, and he's super fat and like he's a huge pig, and
Are you fat
he
shaming
represents I don't know, man.
Hashtag.
Hashtag not all fat.
There gets to be a point. The point, like, it's at the point where you kill him and he literally explodes because he's too fat. So, but he, as it turns out, represents one of the 7 deadly sins. Greed, of course. There
Gluttony?
is a
Gluttony.
Gluttony, not greed. Gluttony. Sorry. And he represents gluttony. And then there's an elf who is like asleep in a tree, and it's causing the forest to go like absolutely horrible, and these ghost elves ask you for help, and you kill him. His name is Oberon. He's another one of the bosses. He represents sloth. There's a man named, he's a paladin named Sir William, I think, and he basically like canceled his wedding and fell in love with a succubus and started a love cult that fucks sheep.
Okay.
And so of course he's Lust. There's a...
Do you have to go through all of them? Like, I think we get it.
I do because it's important. And there's another guy. I'll try and make it quick though. There's the next one is a dwarf named King Goldo Goldstein. I shit you not, that's his name, and he collects gold and he's greed. There's one more, I forget who he is, but then there's this last guy named Khan who represents wrath. And then after you beat Khan, he's basically like he's pissed because you steal his love, his waifu or whatever. And I think she's Envy. She's not a boss fight, but you steal her because she's stealing your shit, so you kidnap her and take her prisoner. And then Khan gets all pissed, you fight him. Yeah, you fight him, and then after you fight him, your advisor, whose name is I don't know, your little minion advisor is like, your presence is requested at the tower, sire. So you go back, and there's this evil wizard dude sitting in your fucking throne, and you're like, what? And he's and your trusted advisor says, well, you know, this guy's way more evil than you. I mean, you were a good overlord, but evil is as evil does. So all your minions leave you. You have to like beat the shit out of your own minions and then subjugate them back to fight this wizard. And he kind of tells you, as you're fighting the wizard in the boss fight, he kind of tells you the story, like, all of those people that you went through the game and killed were heroes, and you also were a hero that went and killed this evil Lich King or something, and you and the wizard both died. But the Lich King was able to corrupt the wizard, and then using the wizard's powers, he brought you back to life to be evil in his stead while he regained power, and to basically take care of the rest of the heroes so they wouldn't come back and defeat him again. And like the whole point is like all of these good shining examples of heroes that defeated this evil wizard all fell to these like horrible sins that made them do all these bad things. And he's like, so good is just like one step away from evil in the end. And then you kill the evil wizard and save the day, and everybody bows to you, and basically the whole land that you took over one is like, yeah, evil's great, let's be evil. It was fun.
You're not wrong.
Okay, well, I don't know why you had to explain that whole thing, but okay.
I don't. I guess if you're playing it, it's I guess it's hard to describe, but like during the whole boss fight, he's talking about like,
I understand it, but I don't know why you're explaining the plot of the game to us. That's all I'm
because
about.
the game, because it threw me for a loop. You know, I still thought I was just this this evil overlord just like the minions brought me back and they were like, hey, the overlord's back, let's rampage. But as it turns out, I was never evil in the first place. I was a hero who killed this lich, and this lich brought me back, and I didn't even know it.
Well, you did good things for the wrong reasons. That still makes you a villain.
No, yes, but I died and came back, and before I died, I was the party leader. And I was not evil. Like, this was before the point, before the game started. I was in an adventuring party who killed a lich.
Oh. Well.
Yeah. And it's like so out of the blue and totally unexpected. It was crazy. And during that wizard boss fight, he was saying things like, "Go on, Goldo, take all the gold you want. Nobody'll deny a hero. Oh, come on, Melvin, have another roast pig. You're a hero after all." And I don't know, it was neat. It just I thought it was just this silly, simple, dumb game, and then in the end, the theme was like, these guys are heroes, but they're getting.
It had a deeper meaning.
It had a deep, yeah, exactly. It had a deeper meaning than.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Than that.
Anyway,
okay.
Is there anything else?
I think that's it besides Divinity, but
I played more
did you
Nier.
play anything before we get to that?
Yeah, I played more Nier.
Sure. Let's into Nier a little bit.
It's more Nier. I don't know. I really need to just power through and get to the next playthrough because I'm like starting to go now.
Mm-hmm.
That first playthrough is really boring.
I felt that a little bit. I feel it.
Like I need to just get through it because it's like I'm trying to do all of the side quests and stuff, but I just need to give up because like the world is so boring. Like there's nothing in it. I don't know. Like
no, that's exactly what I did. I just gave up and I said I'm done with side quests unless they look really compelling.
Like, because when I played Zelda, I felt like everywhere I was going, I was like finding new things. Whereas this game, it's like I sort of just don't care about any of the places between point A and B. So as soon as I got fast travel, I started fast traveling everywhere I possibly could because I could not stand walking anywhere in that game. I don't know. I'm really
exactly what I did.
I'm really starting to get sour on it, but I need to just get through this playthrough because I heard it gets better, so maybe I'll like it. But at this point, it's just I don't know. I'm finding it kind of rough to get through.
There are certain quests that there are certain side quests that you can do. You won't ever have to redo side quests, but you can do them in the second playthrough.
And not all like like if you stop halfway through a side quest, in the second playthrough, you can it'll be like you'll be in the exact same place you were on the first playthrough.
Well, I'm 8.5 hours through it at this point. I don't know. Like I've spent 8.5 hours and I'm still in the first playthrough. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of extra. There's like a lot of side content.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the game is like 40 hours long. That's like my playthrough was. That's how long my playthrough of it was. But I was just going through it kind of slow anyway.
Yeah, that's counting the side quest.
Yeah,
80 hours.
I did like pretty much all of them.
Mm-hmm. So he's at 40.
Yeah, it was at 40.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to get through it. It's just I don't know. I'm at this point. I'm like forcing myself to play it.
Right.
I don't know.
I think you'll enjoy it
might just
more once you get to 9S.
Might not be clicking with me. I don't know. I typically am not a huge fan of like spectacle fighters, but I've played through some. Like I don't know. I've played through most of God of War. I played through most of or I beat what's it called? Enslaved Journey to the West.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever play Metal Gear Rising?
No, I just never picked it up. I probably should.
That's a really good one. Like that's like even for somebody who doesn't really enjoy spectacle fighters, if you're good enough at them to play it, it's worth
Yeah, and
playing.
that's the thing. Like, I'm not. It's not that I'm bad at it. If anything, I'm too good at it. Like, and that's not me. Like, that's not me.
No,
I don't know,
Nier is
gloating. I just
Nier is a specifically really easy one.
Especially now to the extent that so I found the dude who sells upgrade chips and and unlocks chunks of your thing, and I spent a lot of the game not knowing that he was there. Like, so I spent the first
like in the first camp?
Yeah, I spent like 4 or 5 hours not really realizing that's what that guy was selling. So I was sitting on like 120,000 gold because I just wasn't spending it. So I was like, okay, that's what those do? I'll just buy all of them.
Yeah, and that was a lot of like what I did. I was pretty much the same way. Like I kept picking up plugin chips. I was like, I do something with these. Yeah, I see like my plugin menu there. I can put some plugin chips in at some point, maybe.
I was basically selling. I was selling duplicates at the time because I didn't realize you could upgrade them either.
Yeah, you can combine them. Which makes it even easier.
Right. So now I'm running around with, and like some of them, if you have the space, it's better not to combine them because the two additive are more than one, even though they cost less space. But it's like. So I'm running around with, like, super increased, damage, super increased, like, offensive healing, where it heals you every time you hit something. And then I have, like, 2+6 deadly killer or whatever, which, or deadly healers, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Which heals you anytime you kill an enemy. So I'm, like, always at full health.
No, yeah. Auto heal is even better than deadly killer.
I got my first auto healer chip and it's like a +2. So I at this point I keep like about 15 light heals and 50 medium heals in my inventory at all times. But I only really ever have to use them on bosses or when I run into enemies that are like 10 levels above me. And even then, not always. Like, I don't always need to do that depending on how much, like, trash mobs are around.
The other thing about the second playthrough is even though it's the same story, like, you're going back in time and experiencing it as 9S instead, it adds, like, new fights in the middle, in between places that are actually
I think I'll probably enjoy 9S's playthrough just because I'll have gotten a lot of the side quest stuff out of the way, so I can just kind of mainline the story and not worry about it.
It's also the game basically turns into a twin stick shooter, which might be more fun.
Maybe, but I'm not super into shmups either, so I don't know. Like, this is it's funny because this game seems like a combination of some of my least favorite genres. It's like spectacle fighter, which is not a bad genre for me. It's just not one that I like love. Shmups, which actually aren't really my thing. Fighting games, which are definitely not my thing, and then like beat 'em ups, which are kind of again sort of neutral. So it's like a combination of these genres I'm not super into, but I don't know. I feel like it does cool things with genres, but I just think it might not be like the game for me. I don't know. But I'm interested enough to kind of keep putting time into it because there's so much talk around it that I'm interested. And the story is interesting, even if, like, it's kind of slow when you're going out of your way to do side quests. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I need to put more time in that.
Yeah. I think so.
The next thing that I want to talk about before we go into Divinity is Star Wars.
Okay.
Last Jedi.
Oh, boy.
I also see that.
No, we don't
no, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah, okay.
I liked it. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, so maybe I'm not like... Because there's a lot of criticism right now about specific plot issues.
And should we get into that now, or like wait till like news? Because that's technically...
Well, I'm just going to gloss over it. We can talk about it more later.
Yeah, alright, yeah, let's talk about it later. Fuck it.
But yeah, there's like some issues that people are having with that, but for me, I don't feel that way about it at all. Like, I feel like, to me, I would rank it above Jedi Returns.
Yeah, the Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Return of the Jedi. Yeah, I'm sorry. See how much of a Star Wars fan I am.
I was gonna say, wait a second. All of them have Jedi in the name.
Not all of them.
What? 2 of them have Jedi in the name.
Yeah, this one is the second one. Yeah,
including this one, 2 of them have Jedi in the name.
Yeah,
I would rank it above. I would rank The Last Jedi above the First Jedi.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I think Empire Strikes Back was the best, and I think that's pretty common.
That's generally a pretty common, yeah.
Yeah. Then Star Wars 1. Then
the original.
Yeah, the original. Then Force Awakens. Then this one. Then Return of the Jedi. Then all of the prequels. So
yeah, fair enough.
And the prequels notably in reverse order. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I think that's
I don't know. I disagree with you there. I kind of liked 1 a little bit more than I liked 2.
1 was so boring and nothing happened for most of the movie, and half of it was Jar Jar Binks.
I completely agree, but I didn't hate myself watching Anakin and Padme.
When I was a child, the first Star Wars movie I saw was Star Wars Episode 1, and I was like, this is fucking atrocious. It is boring. I hate it. And as a result, I never watched another Star Wars movie until recently.
Really?
Yes.
Well, recently being like last
couple years
10
ago.
Years, yeah.
I didn't realize that. You didn't tell me because you knew I would have held your face down in the Star Wars movie.
I did. I told you when you were holding us down and making us watch all the Star Wars movie before The Last Jedi.
So for me, I watched
Force Awakens.
So this is going to be kind of weird. I watched the first Star Wars movie first, but I was so young I don't really remember it. Phantom Menace I saw the first, like, that was the first one I saw in theaters for obvious reasons.
Right.
Then I watched the first Star Wars like over the next like course of, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I probably watched Star Wars a few times before I watched Episode 2.
Right.
So I've seen the first Star Wars more than any other Star Wars movie. I didn't watch Empire Strikes Back until I was like 22 or something. So, So actually, I saw, other than not counting the first Star Wars movie, I saw. Actually, that's not true. I also saw. I probably did see Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but like when I was pretty young, so I also probably don't remember that. It wasn't until I was an adult that I saw them and can actually like remember anything from them. Right. But I do remember notably disliking parts of Empire Strikes Back because there are parts of it. No, not Empire Strikes Back. Parts of Return of the Jedi, because there are parts where it's very slow. And as a kid, like, I remember actively disliking those parts. But it wasn't until I was an adult that I saw all of them, and I kind of just didn't really like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's understandable.
I didn't hate it, but it's not my favorite. I liked it better than. I don't know. Maybe I did like 3 better than I like Episode 3 better than I liked Episode 6. But
well, here's the thing.
I think most people think that Episode 3 is okay.
Before the prequels came out, everyone pretty much regarded Return of the Jedi as the kind of shit one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Then it's like, you think that's shit. I show you.
Yeah. Guess what, baby? We're revving it up. Wait for the Phantom fucking Menace, bitch. Nothing happens.
So actually, I don't know. Like, it's not even comparable to the previews. Like, the new one is just
prequels,
miles away above the prequel. Yeah. So
naturally, most things are.
Yeah. But I think it stands up there with the original ones. I feel like this one was a good. The Last Jedi was a good comparison to the Force Awakens in the same way that I think Empire Strikes Back. No, Empire Strikes Back was to the original Star Wars.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So I think that, like, in tone, it's similar to Empire Strikes Back, but like the plot is different. Like, the people who are worried about it being like a beat for beat remake of any other Star Wars movie is just isn't. It actually does a good job of bouncing around. Maybe one of the major plot lines was contrived a bit, but and maybe that's what people are trying to say when they mean plot holes. It's like a little bit contrived that they're in that situation, but not unbelievably so. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
It like Star Wars fans are hard to please. And don't hate me if you're a Star Wars fan. I'm just saying, like, this movie was going to upset somebody, right?
Yeah, and I'm honestly I would call myself a pretty big Star Wars fan. Like I feel like a lot of people who are Star Wars fans have the same sort of experience with Star Wars, and like who are Star Wars fans my age. I'm not, had the same sort of experience with Star Wars that I did. You know, their parents were huge Star Wars fans, so they were exposed to the movies like before they even saw Phantom Menace when they were really, really young. Like, they saw all the movies like multiple times at that point. They were really excited for new Star Wars. And, you know, when they were kids, watched new Star Wars and they loved it. And they loved all the prequels when they were kids because they were dumb kids and didn't know better. I loved the prequels when I was a kid. I was a dumb kid. I was an idiot. I didn't know shit. I come back, I watch them. These movies are fucking trash. Why are people like, these movies ain't as bad as people keep saying? They absolutely are.
See,
I liked the second one at the time.
My experience with Star Wars, I kind of basically said this, but my experience with Star Wars was always through the video games. Like
yeah, same here.
Jedi Academy and, you know, like
okay, less same here.
Commando, Republic Commando, Battlefront, all of those, and especially like the number one thing that basically taught me everything about Star Wars was KOTOR, because KOTOR was kind of Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2 were like, they weren't my first experience with Star Wars stuff, but they were like the things that really, really made me love Star Wars. I was like, everything in this is just phenomenal. I love everything that's going on in the world. I love all of the like lore behind it. And
and those are just like so disconnected from.
And now they're not canon.
Star Wars. Yeah, now they're not canon.
Actually, I think
those ones are. I think Disney owned the.
Yeah, I think Disney was like, we're decanonizing everything, and then everything that they've recanonized since has been stuff that was established in KOTOR.
No, what's kind of happened is they decanonize everything and are cherry picking specific things they liked.
Yeah.
Which canonizes
like
the stuff around it. So it's like they
from KOTOR.
So in books that they released that are canon books, they have like named specific characters and events from Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. That means that them and some of the situation around them is canon to some extent. Like, it's you can kind of think of you can kind of think of them as like, I don't know, fairy tales or like story, like embellished stories of what might have actually happened, right? So
like the Mandalorian Wars, those are canon again.
Those are canon. But there are definitely things that are canon in those, but it's very
but not necessarily Revan himself going and doing.
No, Revan specifically is canon.
Is canon, yeah.
Right. Well, if Revan is canon, then that means the entirety of KOTOR is canon.
Not all of the events necessarily. He definitely did specific things, but not everything he did is necessarily canon, right?
Right.
So unless it's kind of like they're now in that weird half canon status where they're known to have existed, but what they have necessarily done is sort of in a gray in question, right?
Right.
Because it's like ancient history.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me it was I played Star Wars Battlefront 2 1 and 2 actually gave me a lot of what actually happened. So actually, I knew a lot of the events of Star Wars from those games. Which is just as well, because Episode 1 has, like, nothing in it. So, other than, like, the Naboo War, right? Naboo Separatist War. Like, that's the only real conflict in that, right?
Yeah. And could you play as a Gungan in Battlefront 2? I forget.
Which one is Gungan? Is that the fly person?
Jar Jar.
No.
Jar Jar. No.
Yeah. You could not play as a Jar Jar.
Okay.
The Gungas.
The Gungas.
I played, I played that game, Battlefront 1 and 2. I played Dark Forces, which is a first-person shooter. I played Republic Commando, which is also a first-person shooter. Probably one of the best Star Wars games ever made, honestly.
I loved Republic Commando.
Never super into flying games, for some reason. Like, I was never really into...
I didn't play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter a lot.
Space Sims and flight sims and that sort of thing. That's something I got interested in more of as an adult. So
I played a little bit of Empire at War. Did you ever play that one? That was the RTS.
If it's an RTS, I have not played it.
Not.
Yeah.
Really, like, the only RTS I spent any significant amount of time playing was StarCraft, the first one. Not even Brood War. Just vanilla StarCraft.
Just StarCraft. Yeah.
So, and I didn't like it that much. So,
right.
And Dawn of War, I guess.
The other one I want to shout out is Star Wars Galaxies. That I played so much. I played so much StarArs Galaxies.
That thing's writ large entirely non-canon, but I think that was always the case, sort of.
For sure.
And I think aspects of the Old Republic are also canon, but again, not all of them, because the Old Republic is not canon, but there are books that reference characters in the Old Republic, so.
Right.
Well, and not only that, a lot of, like, the decanonization that a lot of people are talking about, and one of the big things is, like, when the prequels came out, a lot of people were focused on going back. But in the original trilogies, the thing is, like, with George Lucas, he said everyone can do whatever they want forward, but backwards, like the Clone Wars and stuff, that's all mine. So people were going forward a lot. So there was a lot of canon that has been completely decanonized that way.
No, it was like, you can do anything in this period of time, and then after that period is mine again.
Yeah.
So there was like a weird window that you could write stories in, and then you got weird stuff like zombie stormtroopers and
that was actually after the prequels. I own a copy of that shit.
And like, there's one where they crash a moon into Chewbacca or something. Like, I don't know, weird stuff.
Or Anakin pulls a
I see that
Star Destroyer out of the sky. I think that specifically is one of the things they wanted to decanonize, because everybody hated that shit for some reason. I don't know.
Not everybody, but
I don't know. Like, I don't.
Let's say it was like, controversial.
I never read that story, but I don't really see why. It's like, okay, Anakin is a main character. He's fucking Darth Vader. He's really good at the Force. Why is that controversial?
Because the Star Destroyer is fucking gigantic.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but I'm just sitting here like, remember when in A New Hope, Darth Vader was literally just big, bad, super strong Mook for main villain. He was the big Mook.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He was big and super strong.
Anyway,
so yeah.
For the Jedi ruined Star Wars.
So that was Star Wars.
Him a backstory. That was backstory. That was Star Wars. We'll talk more about it later.
Yeah, we kind of talked about our experience with Star Wars instead of actually talking about the movie, but the movie was pretty good. I would recommend it.
Okay.
If you liked Force Awakens, you'd probably like this one.
I love Force Awakens.
I haven't seen it yet. And I thought Force Awakens was pretty good. I was happy with what they did. Again, of course, I have the same problem with the oldest remix of New Hope, but it's like, you know, the characters were fun.
I forgive that because I feel like how it makes like, and we've talked about this a little bit off the podcast, but for me, it's not as if that story structure is super uncommon in general. So I feel like
to the point that
that could have may as well have been an accident that it was sort of the story beats were in the same places because that's a sort of common
it was more just it was like a bad sign for things to come, and now that things have come and proven that bad sign wrong,
it's like in a good it was a good homage to the original movie in a way.
I feel
it kind
like
of recaptures the spirit. So
I feel like the reason people thought it was such a huge beat for beat remake wasn't because of everything that happened. I think that people mostly, and myself included, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this, I think what people mostly focused on was there's a big planet cracker space station and we've got to destroy it. And as a result, that was the plot of the movie.
Starts out on a sort of frustrated kid on a desert planet just trying to get by, who then gets taken off the desert planet by a mysterious
But that's also vague.
Yeah, but I feel like that was I kind of agree that like the setup for it was the same and the eventual conclusion for it was the same. But I feel like that it was different enough that it didn't bother me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I really liked the interesting dynamic between Finn, Poe, and Rey in the first part of that movie. So
those.
I feel like that character
was like a really great character. It's funny because people like made fun of him in the trailer. I remember because like the trailer starts out with a scene. He's like,
I feel like that character development
knew about
or that character not development, but that character interaction really made that movie for me. Without that movie, maybe I would agree that it was just a shot-for-shot remake that really didn't have much going for it. But I thought that those three characters and how they interacted with each other really made the movie like work for me. So
like A New Hope was a lot about like Luke and his old wise mentor, whereas Rey just kind of had to bumble around and figure things out for herself. She only gets this old wise mentor at the end of Return. She finds Luke at the end of the movie, and that's like when she gets this old wise mentor figure. Like there was none of that, and that was a lot of what A New Hope was about.
Yeah, well, it's about Luke's relationship with Obi-Wan.
So I really feel like the point that people get hung up on are mostly we have to go kill the Death Star, except it's bigger this time.
And taking the Millennium Falcon rather than taking them away from the cantina, it brings them to a different cantina.
It brings them to a cantina
with a bunch of different aliens. There were similarities, and I do feel like that is a
like
problem
Sneaky
with the
Pete.
movie,
Shout out to my boy, Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete. I still feel like that is a problem with The Force Awakens, but it's like there are movies that got problems that are good. It has a problem, and that's fine.
Yeah,
having a problem is okay. You can have a problem if overall the movie is good, and I feel like The Force Awakens overall is a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was like one of a chief hang up for you with the first one. The second one really like leaves that, so a lot of people might like the second one
if that was
of the new trilogy better than the first one if that was a problem. Although people have issues with this new one, which I don't really get, but whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. A lot of people's issues with this new one and with The Force Awakens, and these are the people who hated The Force Awakens and are going to hate the new one, is that it is a big Hollywood franchise that is going to be popular.
Yeah, and people are like just generally mad at Disney for no particular reason.
Yeah, and like here's the thing, I'm pretty tough on shit, but I don't think of myself as a contrarian. I like certain things and I don't like certain things. I don't jump on a hate train because something is popular purely. If it's popular and it's good, that's fucking fine. I don't give a shit if it's popular. It's just, what the fuck ever. If it's popular and it's bad, I'm gonna shit on it like everyone else is.
Yeah, I try to keep things critical.
I don't blindly hate, but yeah.
Let's move on to Divinity Original Sin 2. I don't know how much we have to talk about here.
Yeah, really.
I want to open I want to open with a joke.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
So, an elf, a skeleton, and a lizard walk into a bar. It explodes.
Yeah.
Got him. That's pretty much it. It's usually the skeleton's fault.
No, yeah. It usually is because the skeleton.
I would say more a combination of the skeleton and the lizard. Skeleton just throws poison everywhere, and the lizard just blows it all up.
I mean, you say that as
And
if
that's
we didn't
pretty
get
much
into a
what's been
fight because you literally try to eat someone.
Okay, look.
Okay,
Look.
so tomorrow we are
Yes.
posting the first episode of a Divinity Original Sin 2 Let's Play onto our channel. So if you're interested in watching us play Divinity Original Sin, you can go ahead and watch us do that there.
Yes.
But yeah, generally, what are your thoughts on this game?
So far pretty positive. I really like the fact that like all of the races have a bunch of different stuff. Being a skeleton specifically, I was given a warning that there's certain stuff that you are not allowed to do. Being a skeleton so far in my gameplay experience has been the best decision I have made because I am now invincible.
Until the rest of us die.
Until the rest of you die and then everyone gangs up on me, I'm just like, hey, hold up. I'm dead. Oh no.
You can't kill me, I'm dead.
So for those people who don't know what Divinity Original Sin 2 is, it's a kind of a modernized version of a classic CRPG.
Yeah.
Which was redundant.
RPG.
Classic role-playing game.
The CRPG stands for computer role-playing game.
No, it stands for classic.
I'm pretty sure it's computer because when the term was coined, it was meant to differentiate it from something like Dungeons and Dragons.
I don't know. Because you don't refer to Final Fantasy as a CRPG.
Yeah, well, those are JRPGs, or like Skyrim, which I mean, is also a computer role-playing game.
No, but take something like Planescape Torment. It basically is Dungeons and Dragons for your computer.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So
I'm seeing it being listed as both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I've always known it as.
I've always considered it classic because I feel I feel like RPG is such a common use now that like computer role-playing game, all video game role-playing games are CRPGs then. Classic role-playing is a role-playing game that is in the spirit of a classic game like Baldur's Gate. So, to me, that's the difference.
Fair.
Anyway, it's a CRPG that it modernizes a lot of things and updates combat. I think combat is probably one of the biggest differences from something like the classic version of Baldur's Gate or that. But it keeps in the spirit of like side quests with kind of exploration in areas. So far, I don't think it's opened up as much as it has in the original.
I think we're getting there.
Divinity. I feel like we have to leave the first zone before it opens up. I mean, it's looking like we're going to head to a new zone, and that's where the game is gonna like kind of start. Right. So I don't know.
Right. Even then, there was like a lot of stuff to do. We were like, God, we cannot do this fight. It's fucking impossible. We have to go level up. So we just like backtracked all our steps, talked to more people, did more stuff, and
got more gear
that we just didn't even do because we didn't really think to do it until we were like, okay, we have to go do this.
Well, yeah, at a certain point it was like, okay, well, we're still not strong enough to fight these guys, so let's just wander around more and more until we eventually figure it out. So eventually we got that major fight, and the next kind of thing that we're gonna do is gonna lead into the next area. So we've put about 7 hours into that as a whole together. To be fair, a lot of that was replaying fights that we had lost because that game is difficult.
Mm-hmm. Which honestly, I kind of like that. Like sometimes, yes, it gets frustrating to try the same fight over and over again, but I like that we go into a fight and we realize we're not strong enough, so we do something else, and we're still not strong enough, so we're like, okay, let's go wander around for a while, try to get even stronger. Like I like that feeling. If it were just like this is the very last thing to do and we can't do it, then it would be really frustrating. But it's not like that. It feels,
I don't know, it
like,
felt a little bit like that at a couple points.
Yeah.
Eventually we figured out some more stuff, but
Yeah.
I felt like we were kind of roadblocked by that one fight. Regardless.
Yeah, we were for sure.
I felt like the curve, but if the curve was more subtle in the first game, where you started in the same kind of in the middle of nowhere, found the first town, stuff happened, a bunch of stuff happened in the first town, but it kind of like did a better job of bouncing between us discovering side quests and us doing main plotline stuff. So I don't know. Right. So far, I like the pacing of the first game a bit better,
as opposed to being forced to doing side quests because we're not strong enough.
Right. But I feel like there's so much more options and character choices in this game that it's more interesting, at least so far. I don't know. I need to put more time into it. Like a CRPG is like 100-hour game, 200-hour game. So probably gonna have a lot of episodes of that Let's Play.
This is gonna be some Let's Play content for like a fucking year. Even if we finish it in like a month and a half, it's gonna be.
Well,
we might have to upload it multiple times a week if it gets to that.
I know because we can't flood our channel either. I might just start uploading longer videos. So far, I've broken it up into 20-minute, like 20 to 30-minute chunks. But I think after we've gotten a few episodes in, it might just be worth uploading hour-long videos, because at that point, the only people who would continue watching would be people who actually care. So. But I don't know. Like either way, I think it's fun so far.
Yeah, here's something I want to point out that I really enjoy about Divinity 2 over Divinity 1. In Divinity 1, you were a basic bitch-ass human. I think that was your only real option.
Yeah.
And the world had all these colorful races, but you just couldn't be them. In Divinity 2, you have like you can play as a dwarf, an elf, a human, or a lizard, and then you can also play as an undead variant of any of those races. Now,
only human, elf, and lizard.
No undead dwarves?
No.
Okay. Well, you can play as an undead variant of a human, elf, or lizard at least. And I think the undead lizard or the undead variants are all the same. Just make your character look different. But each of the races all have their own special thing. Like if I'm playing as an elf, and if I were not playing as an elf, then there would just be things that we just never would see. Like,
well, to be fair, you could play an undead elf and still have access to cannibalism.
Are you sure?
For sure, 100%. 100% sure. Yep.
Okay.
So you're like, you get basically you play as an elf. Like if you're an elf undead, you're basically playing as an elf, but with additional stuff happening. But in the same stroke, you're locked out of content that they need a living person for. So So it kind of evens out, probably.
Yeah. So what I like so much about it is, like, even in dialogue options, like, we sometimes even accidentally or on purpose talk to people with different characters. Like, some people will, like, Saine is playing as a lizard, and if he goes up and talks to somebody, this one guy might be like, "Ugh, get away from me, you filthy lizard." But if I go up and talk to them, then they'll be like, "Oh, an elf like me. How's it going? You want a taste of my skin?" The lore for elves in this game, to explain that a little better, is
they eat people.
They eat people. They don't have to. I think they can just taste people, but they kind of get access to their memories. They share memories by tasting
memories and skills and stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead. My cat's like.
So it's really interesting because, like, sometimes we'll kill, like, a character, or even, like, a character will die, or we'll find a corpse. And if I were not playing an elf, I wouldn't be able to... like, I might get their leg, and so I'll eat their leg, and then I can kind of see how they died, or, like, an experience they had during life, and sometimes I'll get, like, a free skill that I don't have to use a skill book to learn, which is cool. I really like that. And then Saine, like, he's got this crazy dragon breath that makes everything explode, and it's
not everything explode. It just lights things on fire. The only reason everything explodes all the time is because Thel and I also use a lot of poison. So
yeah, and Thel is undead, so healing will actually damage him if you try to use healing skills on him.
Like a regular healing skill or like a healing potion.
Right, but poison will instead heal him instead of dealing damage to him. So he has this poison wand, and sometimes if he needs to heal himself, he just throws it on the floor and stands in poison.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the interplay between a lot of the abilities in this game. And like I said, the thing that I like most is the new character options. But I think they toned down certain things. Like, in the first game, I felt like our characters interacted very often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And our characters would talk to each other about stuff, like, really often. Whereas in this game, it feels like it doesn't happen that much.
We have had it happen once or twice.
It happens a couple times, but I feel like in the same amount of playtime, like, our characters in the original Divinity did it over and over again. And
in original Divinity, original Sin.
And I feel like didn't they have like some sort of rock paper scissors system about who won, like,
they
our
did.
course of action? Like, I haven't seen any of that.
I think we've run into something similar once, but it didn't give us a rock paper scissors thing. It just like let us all choose an option, and then the person who was in control of the game, Saine, would choose the actual, like, what we actually wound up saying. instead of like,
no, it wasn't me. It was whoever was talking to the character. So if Thel was talking to the character, it would just go with whatever Thel said.
Right.
So, and I don't like that as much.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe that was to like combat some ways you could kind of get around. Maybe it made it easier from a storytelling standpoint that like they were able to put you into fights and give you stuff more easily because of it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. So far, I don't like that as much.
Yeah, it's possible that we might get some of those options. I remember the first rock paper scissors option wasn't until we were like well into town and talking to that like wizard dude in the first game, which was significantly earlier in the game. But like you were saying, this game hasn't really opened up as much yet, and I feel like maybe once we get off the first option, that might happen. Maybe
we'll see.
I don't know. Yeah, it's another thing that we'll have to wait and see. It's a CRPG, so it's a big long game.
Also, I hope they give us the option to swap out our companions later on, because so far we've kind of swapped between a couple of companions, and I want to see what other ones of them do. But like right now we have a character that I feel like is more convenient to have, and he's kind of funny.
Well, that's only because of the way that we set him up.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we took a different character who I'm actually more interested in, but because of how we set him up, we basically can't get away with using him. Yeah. Because at the time we thought we needed something that we ended up not really needing, so.
Yeah. We might be able to go back and get him once I get a little more healing spells, because we set him up as a rogue, but it turned out we needed like healing mage controller type guy, because that's what I wanted my character to be, but it's not really what I selected at the beginning. So we might be able to like go back and take the Red Prince instead, who's a big lizard man.
Pretty cool. Sort of don't get why you built the character the way you did, but that's...
Well, you only have one option for skill sets at the beginning of the game. I wanted
2 options.
Yeah, you got 2 options.
I went back and tried to take two separate skill paths. I couldn't do it. I don't know how. You guys did.
You can take a preset, or you can select 2 different skills.
Yeah.
So you just didn't find it in the menu, right?
Yeah, I guess I just didn't find it in the menu. But in any case,
I think you were probably just going through it too fast or something, because you were actually like the first one to finish by so.
Yeah. But either way, because I still want that transformation skill set. I like it. I just didn't realize it would be such a melee focused skill set. But whatever. Like I'm going to be. That's the thing about it.
It was to the extent that you can pick specific. It was to the extent that you could pick specific abilities. So you could have not chosen like the Bull Rush one. Like you could have taken a different ranged attack if you wanted to. So I don't know. And it would have been more clear about what you were taking too that way. But either way, we need to put more time into it. But it's pretty fun so far, I think.
It's definitely fun.
All right, we've been going for about an hour and a half. Why don't we take a break? And then when we come back, we'll talk about something, I'm sure.
We'll
talk a little bit of news, and then maybe talk about like a year in review, because there's a lot of stuff we can talk about that happened this year. But I think that
I don't know. We might want to. We still got a couple of weeks.
No, well, I'm not talking about. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We'll
talk about stuff.
In that case, what time do you guys want to come back? It's
10 minutes. 5 minutes.
7:28. So why don't we come back at 7:35?
Okay.
Or 5:35? What time is it there?
6:35.
6:35. Okay.
35 after.
It's 6:35 there, or 6 there?
For you.
No, what time for you?
It is 5:35.
Okay, 5. That's what I was asking. Okay.
Yes.
5:35. Because of course I know what time it is here. I don't know what time it is there because it's confusing.
Right.
Okay, so we'll be back at 5:35. And we're back.
Hooray!
All right.
I love being back.
Here we are.
So
let's figure out what the hell we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, let's start with movie news because that's what we got. So.
Oh, we don't have like anything in game news?
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. God damn.
That's what I was talking about. We actually don't have hardly anything to talk about.
So legitimate zero sum of fucking video game news to talk about.
That's not what
video games this week. Fuck, dude. I don't know.
Well, not much is happening. It's the end of the year.
Zero sum would be if we have so much movie news that game news takes a back seat. Zero sum means it has to add up to a certain amount, and we can't have more or less.
Zero sum means taking away, adding to something else takes away from something else.
Oh yeah, all right, fair enough.
That would be it. Would be zero sum if our show was always exactly 2 hours long or something.
Yeah, that's zero sum.
Math is gay and y'all are nerds.
Why don't we just go straight into the Star Wars thing, right?
Okay. We could. Well, one thing I wanted to shout out to fucking Paramount, making a new G.I. Joe movie and Dungeons and Dragons movies. Remember how good those went last time? Good idea, guys.
Well,
great idea.
Why don't we talk about it a little bit? So,
okay.
Apparently, the Divinity or not Divinity. I don't even know how that got in my head.
But I mean, same though. I'm with you there. my brain's like that too.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. So Dungeons and Dragons was apparently kind of in a dispute in 2015, and then there was a settlement because Warner Brothers said that they had the movie rights for Dungeons and Dragons, not Hasbro. The reason why there hasn't been a Dungeons and Dragons movie in a while is because they've been both kind of confused about who had the rights, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, so it seems like they're working on one now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons is so nebulous because Dungeons and Dragons is more like a collection of themes than it is a thing.
Specific story.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can make a story out of
like if you make a Dungeons and Dragons movie, like what is it going to be? Is it going to be in Eberron or Forgotten Realms, Planescape? Like that's the very first question, and all three of those things are totally different.
Well, even that, I feel like when you're saying I want to make a Dungeons and Dragons movie, you don't even get to those questions. You kind of say we're making a Greyhawk movie. That's what I would assume. It would kind of be Greyhawk being the default setting for Dungeons and Dragons, and then you kind of go, now what is it about?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, Dungeons and Dragons is a collection of themes. It's not a story.
Yeah.
It's not like Lord of the Rings where there is a story. It's like it's like Lord of the Rings without the actual story part. So
it's just like making a movie out of Tolkien lore, or the Silmarillion, or like a TV series out of the Silmarillion.
Yeah, the three Lord of the Rings
made a
books.
TV series out of the Silmarillion.
No, I think Amazon was making a TV series out of Fellowship.
Oh yeah, no, they were making Lord. Yeah. You're right. That was my suggestion: is that they just do stories from the Silmarillion and make it like an episodic thing. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, that is actually a really bad example because Dungeons and Dragons is just a collection of like monsters and like places,
and items and vague lore things, and like maybe a pantheon of gods depending on what setting you're in. Like,
like. I don't know, it's weird. Here in our chat, Wingy says that there are plenty of pre-made campaigns you could take, but still, even then, I want to say the pre-made campaigns are not really about what is in the campaigns, because campaigns are still just populating a place. Yeah. When the story comes in like when you play Dungeons and Dragons, the story comes in the characters that you create and the things that you do.
Like, honestly, Aragon, the Aragon movie could have been a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Easily.
Like, Lord of the Rings could have been a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. Exactly. Like,
fucking Guardians of the Galaxy could have been a
well, not Dungeons and Dragons, but yeah. It could have it could have been
a tabletop. Yeah. Exactly.
So like I don't know. It's just kind of funny when people say we're making a Dungeons and Dragons movie, because it's like, okay, now what is it about? Because what about Dungeons and Dragons? Because I don't know.
Like a Dungeons and Dragons movie just basically means we're making a high fantasy movie. That's all it means. There's like nothing
if anything
more to it.
Low. Like if you're talking about like, well, yeah, I don't know.
Again, it depends on the setting.
Yeah, because Greyhawk is kind of low fantasy sort of.
But Eberron and Forgotten Realms are super high magic fantasy crazy.
Yeah,
things.
And then
Planescape, no fucking way.
Yeah, that's like not cyberpunk, but well, maybe cyberpunk or steampunk depending on what you're doing. But,
yeah, Eberron's a little steampunkish.
And then yeah, and then there's Ravenloft, which is horror. So like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. Yeah. But either way, that's cool, I guess.
And do we have anything we want to say about the new G.I. Joe movie?
Last one wasn't bad.
I mean, it has more of a stuff that could happen than
have you seen the last one? Any of you seen the last one? Rise of Cobra, I think it's called. It was actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Better than you would expect. I mean, it was still like big dumb action movie. Like you're not gonna come away from that and go, man, that movie really makes you think. It was like it was better than a Transformer movie, I guess.
All right.
So
that's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Despite them being like the same kind of owners, I thought it was better, but
yeah.
But I mean, you have to kind of go in knowing what it is. It's a movie where ninjas fight pirates. So
basically, yeah. Where ninjas fight the American army.
And some of those army men are pirates, and some of them are ninjas.
Some of them are pirates, and some of them are ninjas, yeah.
So I don't know.
And that's exactly, I mean, really, if you're going to see a G.I. Joe movie, what are you asking for? What more do you want?
But the question is, why are you going to see a G.I. Joe movie?
If you want a G.I. Joe movie, you want to see ninjas fighting other ninjas, and also there are army dudes there.
Yeah, you want to see Snake Eyes fight Storm Shadow.
Yeah, exactly. When you could, at this point, just play League of Legends instead.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it would be a better use of your time or not. I'm leaning towards no, but I don't really know.
I want to watch Duke fight Cobra Commander.
Duke Nukem. I want to watch Duke Nukem fight.
His name isn't Duke Nukem. It's Duke something.
I want to watch Scrooge McDuck fight Darth Vader.
Now that's a movie I'd go see.
Yeah.
Wingy says, I want the commentary on the state of the ninja and pirate debacle to really make me think.
Yeah. I mean,
think about why did they make this? No.
I mean, nowadays, if you're gonna make a movie about the commentary of the ninja and pirate debacle, because it's kind of died down, it's just going to be the ninja and pirates have been fighting for so long. The war seems eternal. We don't even fucking know why they're fighting. They want completely different things. But they've been fighting. The zombies came too. We don't know what the fuck
G.I. Joe is
doing.
always kind of like a collection of mercenaries versus a collection of mercenaries.
Fair enough.
That were employed by the U.S. government. It was a collection of
cool things that would sell toys and fighting.
See, they could make a really deep, thoughtful movie about private military contractors and their role in conflicts and stuff, like Metal Gear Solid.
With ninjas in it, like Metal Gear Solid.
Like Metal Gear Solid! Yeah, they could just make a Metal Gear Solid movie.
Jeez.
GI, now we're kidding. It's Metal Gear Solid.
Okay, now we touched on Paramount. Let's move on to the Star Wars.
Okay, let's talk about Star Wars. This has been my guiding fucking shining star for the week. This has been the beautiful goddamn thing, because y'all know I love horrible, controversial, trash, garbage things that happen where people get really, really mad about things. People get mad about this new Star Wars movie. People fucking pissed off. People goddamn angry. Saine talked a little bit about he mentioned that a lot of people were really pissed off about the new Star Wars movie, and he had no idea why. A lot of people, and I ain't gonna get into spoilers here. I know a bunch of the spoilers because all this shit was spoiled for me like a week before, but I ain't gonna get into that because I'm a good person and not a horrible asshole like the people who spoiled it for me.
If you stick around, though, a bot might show up and spoil it in the chat for you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because people made bots to do that on Twitch for some reason.
Because they're fucking horrible assholes, like I said.
I know.
Incredibly rude.
People also made a specific bot to block Star Wars spoilers. That you can add to your channel.
Less rude.
It just replaces all of the, like, if it sees like a sentence that's like a Star Wars spoiler sentence, like if you read in the chat Obi-Wan dies in A New Hope, it'll just replace it with porks.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. What are the major complaints, right?
Okay,
what are they?
Major complaints. First off, plot holes. I don't know what the fuck that means.
I watched it.
They always say.
I watched it, and I really did not see any major plot holes. If there maybe there are plot holes, but a lot of it seemed straightforward. Maybe there were aspects of some of the things that we're doing that was a little contrived, but I wouldn't say there was plot holes.
Yeah. Second, character writing. They feel like all of the new characters are either uninteresting and they dislike what they did with some of the old characters.
One of the characters they add maybe was a little boring, but I don't know. She was a new character for this movie.
Yeah.
There was another character who was there for a little while. I guess he was kind of boring, but I don't know. He was sort of interesting, but he wasn't. He didn't play a major role.
Yeah.
He was like, what if Han Solo was evil?
Okay.
But anyway.
Did we get to see Grand Moff Snooki or whatever the fuck he was? Whoever was there more of him in this movie?
Snoke?
In the trailer, yes. Even you get to see there is definitely more of Snoke in this.
Yeah,
I know he's not a Grand Moff. He's
a major character. He's a major character in this film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They're like maybe the way they handled Snoke was kind of like I don't know. For how they were building up to him, he was kind of just like there for a while and then he wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, there was like another major fight that ended really predictably.
Yeah.
Okay. Good guy wins. Does the good guy win?
And then there was another fight that
Oh, you're not even gonna spoil that. Ooh,
and then there was another fight that was like, of course. Or that I don't know. The last fight was kind of like a kind of a twist, but not, I don't know. Not a big enough thing that it's like it's not to the same extent. It's not to the same extent that Han Solo dies. Like there's no Han Solo dies moment.
Wow,
really.
Spoilers for a movie that came out 2 years ago.
Whatever.
That literally everyone saw and made $1 billion.
Yeah.
Every human being in the Earth saw. But yeah, there were these complaints. There were like, they didn't like the new characters, they didn't like what they did with the old characters, and that there were plot holes. But the biggest, chiefest, singular, most resonating complaint among all of these people is that it ruined Star Wars. Which is why these previous complaints, they list 0 examples. No one has told me what the plot holes are. They have told me things that they thought were stupid or thought were silly, but that weren't plot hole.
It's like, it's such a big plot hole that Luke could suddenly find Obi-Wan in the middle of the desert. Like, how did he know? How did he know about old man Ben Kenobi?
How did Maz Kanata find Luke's lightsaber? Didn't he throw it down a shaft? What's the deal with that? How did that happen?
That's not really a plot hole.
Yeah.
Like,
well, no, exactly.
That's a normal hole.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a normal hole that a lightsaber went down.
Yeah, exactly.
So the lightsaber went down. How did Emperor Palpatine come back up in Episode 10 and go, "I'm back, bitches"?
When he says,
"Kylo Ren, you're a bitch. I'm the villain now. I'm the villain now."
When he says the great part about Star Wars is 95% of the time the plot hole is filled by the Force.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the Force is space magic.
Yeah, space magic.
But yeah, everyone's
it's magic, bitch.
Holes.
I ain't gotta explain shit.
Everyone is saying plot holes. Everyone is saying bad characterization, giving no examples of these, which makes me think that all of these people, and the beautiful thing about this is that all of these people are butthurt fans. Because let me tell you something, the real news about this, the thing that is surprising about people not liking this movie, is there is a huge dissension from audience scores and critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics have said that this is one of the best, if not the very best Star Wars movie ever made. That it takes leaps and bounds in directions you wouldn't expect it to. That it makes the series really, really interesting. Does really, really interesting things with the characters. And takes the series places you wouldn't expect. And a lot of people don't seem to like. These people, right now, I've been watching all of this, and I have been sitting on my postmodernist high horse and laughing at all the classical plebes now that we own Star Wars.
Now that we own Star Wars. Whatever.
No, I don't know. The thing about the disparity is, like, when the disparity is in the other direction, I feel like critics are just being overly pretentious. I don't know. Like, but when it's this way, it's like fans are just raging at nothing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If it's something like The Witch has this same disparity, right? The Witch has like a huge is loved by critics.
That's the one with like the Mormon family out in the woods and.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
And audience scores are this movie is boring. I don't like it. I don't get it. It's boring, and it's like, all right, this movie isn't for a lot of people. I can completely understand that. That's not like fans bitching. This is just people don't like this movie because it's kind of a slow-moving horror movie about like familial tension rather than spooky stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like, weird because normally I feel like I am kind of just a basic bitch-ass plebe who hates slow movies, but I love that movie. I
don't think that you are. I think that you think you are more than you actually are.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm usually not, but I did get bored of that movie.
All right, but yeah, and Saine is definitely not.
I'm more willing to sit through slow stuff than average, I would say.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, that movie is people. It's like I can understand why like general audiences wouldn't like that. It's like I love that movie to death, but it's like
I don't feel like that was the same issue with Star Wars though. Star Wars,
it wasn't. No, that's what I'm saying. It's a completely different issue with Star Wars. This isn't just like general audience, because like, you know, your general average normal ass moviegoer who doesn't give a shit about anything is gonna go into Star Wars and just be like, oh yeah, it was a good Star Wars movie, it was good action, good fights, good characters, I ate some popcorn, I drank some drinks, it was a good old time had by all. That's what they're probably gonna think. It's the big Star Wars fans that fucking hate this movie. These huge goddamn Star Wars fans. And as someone who grew up in a household, and not only in a house, but with an extended family even, that was these huge these huge nerds back in the 70s who had like fucking goddamn legitimate Star Wars plates signed by Captain Kirk, who grew up around all this Star Wars shit.
Captain Kirk from Star Wars.
Captain Kirk from Star Wars. No. They're really their claim to flame were huge.
Have to make sure
Star
to
Trek
use
nerds, but
the Force.
Luke,
I'm sorry, I killed that entire conversation.
Yeah,
yeah, it's fans bitching.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know.
Huge,
yeah. I liked it. I thought it was better than most. So, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I would rank it. I think I liked Force Awakens better, but I could see why someone might like this one better. Or maybe I don't know. It could just be that I haven't seen Force Awakens in a while, so I remember coming off of that pretty positive, so it's hard to like gauge. Like I didn't A/B test them, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember liking the first one or Force Awakens more, so maybe. Right. But definitely I liked Empire Strikes Back and the original Star Wars better than this one. But both of them I liked more than Return of the Jedi, so
yeah. I have a cousin who is like that kind of Star Wars fan. Like the kind of Star Wars fan he like saw A New Hope in theaters. He's like 20 years older than me or whatever. And like he even likes he recognizes that the prequels are worse than the rest of them, but he even likes the prequels just because of the fact that it's more Star Wars, you know? So like I want to see, and I'm going out to see some family for Christmas, so I'm probably going to talk with him about it. I might be able to convince people to go see it or something, but like I want to see what his reaction is to it, based on the fact that you said that like all these huge Star Wars nerds are like really hating it. Like he has one of those glass lightsabers hanging up above his bed. So
yeah, I don't get it, because coming out of this, it seemed like it was very fan service-y. So I don't like not very like not aggressively fan service-y, but there like they had funny moments with like Chewbacca in it, and the Millennium Falcon was there, and like I don't know, like
well yeah, and not only that, one of the things a lot of the big Star Wars fans are saying is like they hate Rian Johnson because he created a movie that he felt they felt that he was too good for Star Wars. So he made like a sort of a film that was a little bit weird, a little bit different, and a lot slower.
You know, I think that this whole thing really just boiled down to not liking the character treatment to Luke. I think that is literally all this is about.
90%, which is a lot of the complaints.
Yeah, I think that is the only.
It's weird because I remember people really liked Han Solo in the Last Jet or Force Awakens.
Okay, I think the difference is Luke in this film is a lot different than Luke at the end of Jedi.
Yeah, whereas Han Solo was the exact same person.
Similar.
Right,
yeah.
So like
he was the same person but old.
Luke Skywalker obviously had a lot of off-screen character growth. So you were coming into a different version of the same character. So I think that's probably what it is actually about.
I feel like I haven't seen the movie, but I feel like that's sensible. Like in the original run of Star Wars, Luke was this kid who was still learning, you know, like even if I remember at the end of Jedi, he was still kind of a kid who was still trying to like learn stuff. Like he was a really competent Jedi and whatnot, but he still was learning. Like the second movie, was it the second movie where he goes and trains with Yoda? Was it The Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, like even in the second movie, after he had all this experience blowing up the Death Star and whatnot, he still went and had to find a new wise old master to learn more stuff, and he was really dismissive and stuff. Yeah. You know, I feel like he had a lot of room for character growth. So in 60 years or whatever, where he's this old hermit, it makes sense for him to be a totally different guy.
Yeah.
Well, let me just put it this way, without spoiling anything. Luke Skywalker was obviously more jaded than Obi-Wan Kenobi was at the start of the original Star Wars.
Fair.
So,
I feel like I might like that. One of my favorite characters in KOTOR 2 was this old jaded asshole who you found in a swamp who was like,
I love that
light
dude.
side and dark side. Yeah, he was like, light side and dark side don't fucking mean anything.
He's like the great. He
Just
was
do whatever you want.
He was the gray side of the Force, and he was funny because it was like, you got very minimal benefits for being middle of the road in KOTOR.
Yeah.
But he was the acknowledgement that it existed.
Yeah.
Oh, and one of the things that a lot of people are talking about is like, oh, the fucking, and this is absolutely true, the whole light side and dark side thing, and like the light side being kind of these weird sexless space monks. That stuff did not come in until the prequels. Because especially with all of the stuff in Empire, it was like, there's the Force, but then there's also this corruption of the Force that, like, you know, the Sith are using. Like, there's the Force, which is this overarching thing, and then these guys are using it to do evil and have done some really, really bad
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Like,
side.
the Sith weren't even using a corruption of the Force. They were using the Force to the extent that it balanced the other side of the Force. That's kind of the whole idea, the whole, like, philosophy around it. So...
Yeah,
that was the philosophy in the prequels, is that there was the light side and the dark side. Whereas in the original series, there was the Force, and then there was these bad guys doing bad shit with the Force.
Oh, Wingy says, hey, not sexless, but in, like...
In the prequels, you weren't allowed to have sex.
Yes, in the prequels, you weren't allowed to, like...
Because that shit leads to the dark side,
I think the main point of contention in the prequels was that Anakin was in love with somebody.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Anakin
was
you can't do that. Right, but you can't,
and that philosophy is what eventually led him to turn to the dark side.
Okay, so he says you were allowed to have sex, but you weren't allowed to have relationships.
Yeah. Kayat Mundi was allowed to have sex because he was one of the very last of his race, so he could repopulate.
Okay, well, fair.
For that reason.
Sure. I don't know, but like that's... God, I know I just always talk about KOTOR whenever Star Wars comes up, but that's one of the things about KOTOR, like, that I really liked. Even if you were like it didn't follow that like prequels philosophy. It followed like
No, I felt the opposite. I felt like KOTOR doubled down on the Sith are always evil and Jedi are always good. That's what KOTOR felt like. It really doubled down on that. I don't know, the Old Republic I feel like did that. But in KOTOR, like that, like the tenets of stuff, like it could be like, hey, I just saved you from this group of thugs that was beating you down, and so I got some light side points for it. Oh, also I'm in love with this bitch, but I'm full light side. It doesn't matter, because I'm doing good things and I'm helping people and I'm doing the right thing. But I felt like in the original KOTOR they were just as dogmatic about a lot of that stuff, and it really reinforced that. Like, I don't know. I think the reason why maybe part of the issue is, in this movie, Luke basically shits all over Jedis. He's like, Jedis are fucking the worst. And so like,
and like the trailer shows off some of that too.
And so like,
that sounds great.
And so like,
KOTOR 2 had one of those villains who was right all along, Kreia, and she was totally Sith.
Oh, shut up! I'm trying to make a point, dude.
Okay, sorry.
But like, so he was very disgruntled with how it was. The whole thing was affected, and like, really, the issue with the Jedi in prequels was that they were so dogmatic about their teachings, about how specific things you had to do and specific weren't allowed to break, because in their mind that led you to the dark side. But by having those rules, it pushed people to the dark side.
Right.
Anakin was like one of the most powerful Force users, and had he been allowed to act on his emotions, he probably wouldn't have joined the dark side. But he was put in a position where, in order to continue being powerful with the Force and getting what he wanted, he had to be evil, which is why he was conflicted in the later movies.
Right.
Yeah. Why he was able to like heel turn in Jedi. So
another chief complaint this movie is that they sort of Damien Lindelofed a couple of things. But the thing about that is that really doesn't surprise. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Damien Lindelof was the chief writer of Lost. It is the reason that the ending of Lost was so shit. It's also the reason that the ending of everything else he's ever made was so shit. Because what he does is he builds up a lot of stuff and it doesn't pay off. Because he never has an idea of how it's going to pay off. The thing
I don't know about this. This is the middle movie of a trilogy, so
that's what I was going to say. First things first, the difference between like this and Damien Lindelof is that Damien Lindelof was like the person who was in control of everything and could have created a thing. This is two different people's idea of Star Wars. Like this is J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. And then J.J. Abrams is going to come into the third one because he's directing that one. So who knows? It might completely rearrange some of the stuff that Rian Johnson did.
Stop playing with your vape pen.
Sorry.
So yeah, it might not be.
It's in there staring at the top of your head.
It might not be Damien Lindelof after all you people who are complaining about it. But yeah, a lot of people were really disappointed because it did seem like the Force Awakens, there were some characters that didn't go anywhere that were apparently supposed to. And that the thing is, this has been going through so many different writers. These movies have been going through so many different writers, so many different screenwriters, and so many different directors. It's fairly obvious that they don't. This isn't George Lucas. George Lucas always did.
I don't think that's fair, though.
When he started with Empire, had a plan.
I don't feel like they really introduced any characters that didn't go.
Oh, okay.
They had one character who served a plot purpose and then left. They had one character who they introduced and had a relationship with one of the characters, and that was like the end. Okay. Like, I don't know. There's just no. It's not like there was a bunch of loose ends to me.
Right.
They did what they needed to do, and they got away, and then, they won. Because it's a hero movie, right?
Yeah,
so, like, I don't know. I don't know what they could be talking about. I mean, there were moments where, like, a character sort of maybe died off screen, and it's like, I wonder what's going to happen with them. Are they going to come back, or are they dead? Like, there's a little bit of that, but, like, that's just dramatic. That's just, like, setting up drama for the next movie, so I don't...
I do feel like 100% this was just Star Wars fans being pissed the fuck off that someone tried to do something different with their precious fucking Star Wars. And this is coming from, like, out of the three of us, I'm the guy who's, like, most personally involved in Star Wars. I watched the shit out of all those movies when I was a kid.
Star Wars movies.
The fucking prequels.
I probably liked Star Wars the least out of everyone here, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah.
If I had to order it in terms of, like, a nerd thing, right? I'd probably say Star Trek, then Lord of the Rings, and then Star Wars for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes. But, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm after this whole debacle and seeing how pissed off like big fans of the movie are and like general audiences, I am excited, especially with the critics just going fucking crazy about how great this movie is. I'm excited to see it. I really am. I was like sort of like, I hope they don't fuck it up again. I don't want to fuck it up again. It's just gonna make you like Empire. I don't know. But now I'm just like, oh shit.
Did you like Rogue One?
I did not like Rogue One. That's actually what put me off of it. Yeah, I felt like the characters in Rogue One were really, really weak, and that's all it had going for it. To the point where it's like, the characters had like these. They didn't have arcs. They had character mountains where it's like they go from one point at the very bottom and then just immediately in the next scene jump up, and that might be.
I would agree with the main character kind of doing that, but I don't know. But I would say all the characters around the main character had kind of believable arcs, but I would agree that maybe the main character kind of
the main character is one that I was talking about, and it's not so much like the other characters. A lot of it is the relationship to the main character having like the huge mountain where it's like they have like this huge. There's a point in Rogue One where like the main character and Diego Luna's character, dude, have this conversation about how like. Yeah, Pilot Man. No, he's not the pilot. The other guy is the pilot. The pilot guy's the pilot who loses memory as the pilot. The Rebel Man with Robot Man, have like this huge fight, but about like and how she hates like the rebels and all of this stuff. And then immediately in the next scene, she's like, "We need to fight the Empire. We need to do it. We're a team." And was like, "Yeah, we're a team. We're gonna work together." And it's like, did I like miss like half the movie? This is the next scene over, right? It's still the same. No? Okay, all right. Okay. A lot of the other characters were very, very loosely characterized, and it is the movie that I came up with the test of if this took place in the Jupiter Ascending universe, would anyone give a shit? I do not think Rogue One anyone would have cared. Because you had like the guy, specifically because of the guy who was like talking about how like the Force. If you talked about the religion of whatever the Jupiter Ascending universe was, no one would have given a crap about that guy. No one would have thought he was awesome or badass. They all would have been like, who the fuck is this guy? He's not.
Yeah, but I think context matters a lot, and I think that I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the character writing, dialogue in particular, is not great.
Yeah.
Character arc for the main character, I think, is what lets that movie down. Not any of the other pieces, but as a movie, I like it.
And also just like it felt really weak. It felt like they didn't know what to do with it. I feel like that's been a problem. The director of that movie was the guy who did the Godzilla movie, the American Godzilla movie, the most recent, the 2014 American Godzilla movie. Because I have to specify because there are multiple. And that was another problem with that one, is like all of the human characters were really, really meh. And I would have thought that movie was absolute trash if it didn't have my big girl Godzilla roaring it up and fucking firing bolts of lightning into Monster's face. And it's like, yeah, that's just great. Everything else is kind of fucking bad, though. I don't know if I can recommend this movie on just like a movie standpoint. Glad Shin Godzilla exists so I can be like, want to watch a new Godzilla movie? Let's go watch that one. It's fucking fantastic. So yeah, Gareth Edwards, that's the guy's name. I feel like that's just a downfalling of Gareth Edwards. He's not good at characters, and he tries to sort of build these movies around characters that are boring.
I felt like it did kind of explain how they could blow up the Death Star and then build another one. I don't know.
That's fair. It did tell the story.
I felt like it did a good job of filling a plot hole of the original Star Wars.
I almost don't feel like that was like a plot hole so much. It just like, okay, that was just like an oversight. All right, they didn't think about this tiny little exhaust vent. They didn't think that would be a problem because they didn't think like any little tiny ship. Like that's how it was actually explained.
They didn't think anybody would be able to nail a womp rat a meter long.
Well, and not only that, they legitimately weren't even thinking about tiny, small, baby like fighters. They were thinking like these big ass
Star
battle cruisers would be trying to shoot at them, and there'd be nothing that they could do. But these tiny baby fighters, there's an they didn't even like think about this.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's an argument to be made that it seems like a big oversight that you could destroy. It creates a chain reaction that will destroy the entire Death Star by shooting through one exhaust port. So the fact that they kind of retroactively added that was intentional.
That Mads Mikkelsen had built that in there.
Yeah, makes it more plausible.
Okay, hang on. Wait, explain that to me. I didn't see Rogue One.
So, okay, the premise of Rogue One.
Intentional?
The premise of Rogue One was there was a Sith scientist, or not a Sith, but an Empire scientist who designed the Death Star, but he didn't. He was kind of drafted into it, like he didn't want to, but they forced him under threat of killing his family to create the Death Star.
Okay.
So what he does is he does it. He makes the Death Star, but he intentionally designs a flaw in the Death Star so that he can give it to, I guess he gives it to his daughter, right? Or no, he gives it to a I don't know. It ends up in the hands of his daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
But and then they take that information and give it to Princess Leia, who then takes it, who then gives it to R2-D2, who gives it to Ben Kenobi, and then they give it to the rebels and then blow up the Death Star.
Okay.
So,
well, and the thing is, what they give, like this dude makes this whole hologram speech talking like to his daughter and stuff about like how he put that flaw in. But what he does is he just gives like the plans to the Death Star, so it gels up with A New Hope. Because in A New Hope, what happened is they just got like the blueprints to the Death Star, and they were hoping to God that they could find some way to blow it up. And then they looked at it and were like, you know, this exhaust pipe just, you shoot like a bomb in this exhaust pipe and like blow this shit up, which would blow this shit up, which would move the main core, blow that up. Oh fuck! Hey guys, and that was like the plot of A New Hope.
Yeah,
right.
But the whole thing was that they were kind of I mean, it was sort of retroactive continuity that they were transmitting these plans to Leia, thus giving her the intelligence at the beginning of The New Hope.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I think that, for me, that made the first movie a bit more plausible retroactively.
Right.
But, I mean, if you, if you never had a problem with that, then it, whatever, right? But, I don't know. I enjoyed Rogue One. I enjoyed how Rogue One kind of handled that.
Yeah. One thing I really did like about Rogue One, the positive that I will give Rogue One is, I did like, I'm not talking about like the big space battle scene at the end. I'm talking about more of like, there are a bunch of little skirmishes throughout the movie, these little battles that feel like the rebels are these insurgents trying to take down the big galactic empire. And I kind of did like that, like, oh, also aesthetically the movie looked fucking gorgeous.
And that's
beautiful goddamn movie.
This new one too, like, less.
Oh yeah, like even in the like trailers, the Last Jedi looks.
I think the space battles in The Last Jedi were really cool. Like, they have not done good space battles in a while, and I felt like this one had some good ones.
Okay, but yeah, that's good to hear. But yeah, I'm incredibly excited for The Last Jedi. Holy shit, we actually spent like an hour talking about Star Wars and superheroes. That's the one coming out this year.
Black Panther's in January.
Yeah. So you want to hear about superheroes? Hit us up in January.
Don't ever say
February. Actually, Black Panther's in February.
What did I just say?
Well, if you want to hear about superheroes, hit us up in January. We're gonna talk about them then too.
They had a trailer for Infinity War.
Oh yeah, they sure did.
And I'm hype.
That sounds like everything involving superheroes for you. So
yeah, it had the Grapefruit Man shows up and finally she starts fighting.
Well, Spider-Man's gonna actually be in it because I wasn't sure how much he was gonna be in it, but he's actually gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Vision is in it too.
Yes, he is in it. So is Scarlet Witch.
So we could just solve the entire movie right there, and
no, Vision is gonna get his ass kicked in this movie. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this is Thanos.
This is an Infinity Gauntlet story. He's gonna have his soul ripped out.
You know, I'm really
Vision
excited.
is an Infinity Stone.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay,
here's the thing. I'm really excited for Avengers: Infinity War 2. What I really hope that they do with that is that it starts in the end when Thanos has been defeated. Like the last one ended on a cliffhanger where Thanos had killed everyone, but in the beginning of Avengers: Infinity War 2, it's just Thanos has been defeated and everyone is friends and everyone thanks Squirrel Girl for defeating him off screen.
Okay.
So yeah,
I think that isn't the plot of the original Infinity War that he gets the gauntlet and kills everyone.
Yep.
And then is bored.
Yeah, he it does the snap, kills literally.
Well, I don't think he kills half the universe. I think he just winks them out of existence. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's also a Scarlet Witch comic.
Yeah.
And she doesn't need an Infinity Stone for that shit.
Yeah, no more mutants in House of M.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Scarlet Witch winks Well, I don't know. She doesn't make people not exist. She takes people's powers away. What she does.
Right. Right.
So, like,
we started talking about superheroes again.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for Infinity War.
Yeah.
That's probably really exciting. Yeah. I'll see it once it comes out of theaters. Probably.
What is I excited for?
You should go to the theater more often.
That's
got time for that shit. Nobody got time for that shit.
That's actually, now that I think about it, that's one of the things that we might want to do like Saine, at one point you were suggesting one of the things that we talk about in our podcast, and no, I'm getting into podcast because it's on the podcast, but one of the things we might want to do is talk about things we're excited for next year on one of these days.
Right, so why don't we talk about what our schedule is going to be next week? Because this is a week from now. It will be Christmas, which is not the day we're going to be recording.
Yeah, because fuck
Definitely
that.
Not.
It looks like we're talking about doing it Sunday night.
Yeah.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So here's a good segue. Why don't you follow Dalsson on Twitter?
Yeah.
At Graveyard Dalsson, and he will give you updates. I think right now we're tentatively Sunday at what time? Say Dalsson.
Well, I get off at 6.
So 7?
Yeah, 7 maybe.
So why don't we say 7 on Sunday,
Christmas
December 24th.
Yeah.
If you want to watch it live. Otherwise, we'll put it up probably still Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Wednesday on the 27th.
Graveyard Dalsson, that's a point. Graveyard Dalsson, I mean, you can see it right below me here, but on Twitter there were not enough characters to fit Graveyard, so it's Graveyard without an A. Everything's the same. There's just no A in Graveyard.
Oh, that's
in the yard word. So
probably should have gone with something different.
Like
at the real Dalsson.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know about that. I think it's fine.
Anyway, please look at that, which I assume is the right direction. I'm not entirely sure.
Look at the logo anyway, if that was the wrong direction.
I also tweeted onto my Twitter, so we figure it out.
Which is much easier to spell.
But yeah, which is much more similar to my actual name. I think, Thel, you have a Twitter, but I don't think you use it, right? So anyway.
I have a Twitter somewhere. I'd have to go find it.
Wingy has confirmed that it was indeed the correct direction. Okay.
Wonderful.
So, with that, I think we're going to cut it early this week. There's not much.
I do have a couple things. First thing is
that we're coming out with.
I'm going to be putting out a Mayball video on Monday next week. And then, maybe 2 weeks or maybe 1 week, depending on. I want to get it out before the end of the year. I'm going to make another Hollow Knight video talking about why it's my favorite game of the year. Right. So, yeah.
Sounds good. As for my upcoming stream content, I'm going to be finishing up the Overlord 1 DLC, and then I probably will just jump straight into Overlord 2. Overlord 1, I talked about it earlier, but it really impressed me, so I'm actually more excited for Overlord 2 than I was before. So yeah, that'll be my upcoming stream content. You can see the schedule down below on Twitch or whatnot.
Or there will be a link to Dalsson's stream in the YouTube description.
There you go.
So the tomorrow we're going to put our first Divinity Original Sin 2 video up. It skips the prologue, so it goes right into us messing around on the beach.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday, this will be the VOD for this up on YouTube, and then we have another Night in the Woods on Thursday. Yeah?
Yeah.
Friday.
Friday? Okay, Friday.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I don't think there is anything other. So, okay, with that, we're going to cut the recording. See you guys next time.